Alright, what's up guys? It's Heat. I wanted to do a build guide video for this Witch Summoner build I use in the Bloodlines League. I call this build the SZX hybrid build because it uses Spectre zombies, and X stands for the variable amounts of animate weapon that you can cast. This is going to be, I'm not going to have any gameplay in this because I will link some videos to the gameplay to a level 75 map and a level 77 map, so you can check those out. I also wrote a really in-depth guide on the official GGG Forums, which I will link in the description as well. So this is going to be purely me talking about the build and going over my items and passive tree and whatnot. Alright, so yeah, let's get started. So this build uses 5 Spectres, 9 zombies, and variable amounts of animate weapons, anywhere from 0 to 30. I've had up as much as 30, so which is kind of a lot, and it's kind of nice. One interesting thing about this build is I use Evangelists, and they give you this proximity shield, which means that when you stand in that shield, you can't be damaged unless the source of the damage is in the shield when it's applied to you. So if I am here and there's something, for example, where this map device is that tries to attack me, it won't deal any damage as long as I'm standing in this bubble. And because I have 5, there's a lot of room for me to move around and not get damaged. The other thing that's nice is these Evangelists cast a spell which does a lot of damage, and it ends up stunning a lot of enemies, whites, blues, rares, and not so much bosses, but that synergizes pretty well because when they're getting stunned, they can't attack, and then all your other minions just rush them and kill them. So there's pretty nice synergy there. One downside to this build is I feel like the Bloodlines League is especially hard on summoners in general, not just this summoner build, because of some of the mods it has. For example, Abazoth is really dangerous. It spawns a unique boss, and those bosses do a lot of damage that can just wipe out your squad. Then there is the Heralds, the Obelisks. Then there are the Bearers, which do a lot of elemental damage. Then there are, like, even the Fractal Link, or whatever it's called, is annoying because if you have a very dangerous pack, your minions won't be able to kill them fast enough, and something like the Frog Leapers can wipe out your squad as you're waiting for the link to get to what enemy you need. So Bloodline League is kind of dangerous to a summoner, and it's kind of annoying. You have to run away a lot and cast them towards you with Convocation so they don't take damage from something like Frostbearer or something like that. Yeah, so alright, so let's get started. Let's take a look at my gear and see what allows me to have 5 Spectres and 9 zombies. So one thing is this thing called Midnight Bargain. As you can see, it gives you an extra Spectre and an extra zombie, and you want to get one that's well rolled because you can have increased minion damage and increased movement speed. One downside to this thing, to this wand, is it reserves 30% life. As you can see here, basically that takes away 1,300 life from my total life pool. And so one way that I wanted to compensate for this is being a hybrid build. So as you can see, I have 3,000 life and I have 4,300 energy shield, essentially giving me 7,300 life. So this energy shield acts as a mechanism to compensate for having really low life. If I didn't have the energy shield, I would only be running around with 3,000 life. Another piece of gear that allows me to have extra Spectres and zombies is Bones of Ulur, or however you pronounce that. So these are pretty laxter. You want to get a well-rolled pair if you place a high importance on movement speed, because the better they are rolled, the higher the movement speed. Max is 15%. These are obviously 14%, so it's almost max. Nothing else special about this pair of boots other than allows you to have an extra Spectre and an extra zombie. Now the last piece of gear that gives you an extra Spectre is this chest piece called Mortis. Now this thing is pretty crazy. It gives you mana. Energy shield is alright, 284 is not bad, almost 300. Then it increases minion damage, which is pretty good. The downside to this chest piece is it reduces your minion life by 20%, which you can compensate, but it still kind of makes your minions a little bit squishy, especially the way I set this build up, because they don't have a lot of resistances. And the most interesting part about this chest piece is this mod right here that says minions gain Unholy Might for 5 seconds on kill. Now what this does is it converts 30% of your minions' physical damage and adds it as chaos damage in addition to the damage that they do, which is really strong. However, this only applies to individual minions, so it doesn't proliferate to your entire squad or to even like all your zombies or whatever. So it's individually applied, meaning let's say that you have 40 minions and they're all attacking one enemy like a boss. Well, the last minion that's going to get that kill, that hit, that kills that boss will have this Unholy Might buff and no one else will. So it's actually not that great in my opinion. I would rather have a chest piece with maybe like over 600 ES because that can give you crazy amounts of defense and energy shield, as opposed to having you know, an extra Spectre and this Unholy Might, which isn't... I mean, if that mod proliferated to all your minions, it would be way better. And I guess you could even decrease the amount that Unholy Might does if you think that's too powerful or whatever. But yeah, so another downside is if your minions do splash, right, and one minion splashes and kills like 6 enemies, then only that one will get the effect. In terms of gear, I focused... so let's take a look at this headpiece. It's hybrid, and the reason I rolled it hybrid is because I needed to be able to roll a green, red for my animate weapon, and it's really hard to roll green, red on a pure ES piece. So this is the only piece that's not pure ES. Actually, my gloves aren't either, but I needed to upgrade those to pure ES. Now you want +2 to level of minion gems in this piece, because that's super strong. It adds DPS, it adds survivability to your minions, and yeah, so this is what I used. I used animate weapon. The link for that was animate weapon, melee physical damage, increased duration, and melee splash. Then let's take a look at the shield. The shield is every piece of armor. Basically, the theme is you want really high energy shield and really high life, because it is a hybrid build, and then you want resistances. On this particular shield, I rolled 30 dex because this build needs dex to in order to support hatred, animate weapon, and vol haste. So this shield has 330 energy shield, and I recommend at least 300 in this slot. And then it has some resistances, not too bad. Other mods that you probably want is mana regeneration, mana, and those are pretty good as well if you can get those. I have here linked hatred, I have reduced mana, and I have generosity. Generosity makes the hatred be only applied to my minions at a boost, with its effect being boosted to the minions. So I don't use hatred, I wouldn't benefit at all from using it. So that's why I use generosity. So for my zombies, I have raised zombie, minion damage, multi-strike, melee physical damage. Nothing special here. For these gloves, this was an upgrade piece. I actually used this to store my animate weapon until I was able to 5-link my Mortis. So these could be upgraded. I had mana, life, and resistances pretty strong up until this point, but they should be pure ES. You probably want somewhere over 100 ES on these gloves, and that would actually give you a lot of extra energy shield here. For the belt, this belt is self-found. It was pretty good. A lot of strength, a lot of decent life, a lot of energy shield. resistance, you basically want ES and resistances. For utility mods, I would prefer increased life regeneration from flasks, but I have increased flask charges gained. Because the increased life from flasks actually will help your minions heal as well. So this is pretty good. It could be better, but it was self-found, and I didn't want to spend the currency to get an upgrade. This particular ring, I don't remember if it was self-found or not, but it's pretty strong. It has a lot of life. Actually, it doesn't have a lot of life. I rolled life on it, 39, but it has strength, which adds another 20 life to that, so it's 59 life. Okay, energy shield, you probably want over 40 or close to 40, and the resistances are really strong, and that's why I'm using it. This was self-found. This room is pretty crazy because it has Dex, and Dex helps this build a lot for for the reasons I've already stated. Mana is really strong. Mana regeneration helps you cast Animate Weapon. The only mod that's not useful here is the cold damage because you don't do any direct damage. Cast speed helps with Convocation. It helps with casting Animate Weapon, Zombies, and Flesh Offering. I forgot to look over these links. So in this link we have Vol Haste, Increased Duration, Flesh Offering, Vol Discipline. This is all utility. Vol Discipline is amazing because I think it gives me somewhere around close to 8,000 energy shield while it's active, and it lasts for a very long time. It lasts for 7.53 seconds, which is pretty good because its base is only 3 seconds. Flesh Offering increases your minions' DPS. This is always a staple, in my opinion, in a summoner build. Vol Haste is super strong, increases movement speed and attack speed, so it's pretty beastly. Increased Duration helps these stay up even longer. The last piece I'm going to go over is my amulet. This amulet is basically here for defensive purposes only, and it has some utility like mana regeneration. It has 5% max energy shield, and then you get more energy shield from the intelligence, and then the resistances are pretty good. So this is a nice amulet. I basically have it for resistances and energy shield, but this could actually be improved upon. Now, if we take a look at my flasks, I'm just going to go over these real quickly. You basically, it's life flask, instant recovery, and you want, and I have a granite flask here. Quicksilver, this isn't properly rolled. I don't know why I neglected this flask. The only thing I would recommend is having at least 2 of animation flasks. One that has instant recovery. As you can see, this one grants 49% of life recovery to minions, 50% applied instantly. And then I have another one that's just increased life recovered. So at least 2 to help keep your minions alive. If we take a look at my skill tree, I started as a witch. I actually did all the calculations for playing this build as a witch, and as a Scion, and as a Templar. The Witch was the best. It had a little bit more regeneration and more stats if I were to spec this out similarly for each build than both other classes. The Scion is second best. It just lacks something like a little bit of mana regeneration. It doesn't have as much as the Witch. And the Templar has a lot of stats that are lower than both of these classes, so I went with Witch if you're thinking about min-maxing. Nothing special here. I leveled as an Arc with Jeffrey's Crest until about level 70 when I transitioned into Specters and Zombies into being a Summoner, and then at level 80 I was able to get Potency of Will and Exceptional Performance that allowed me to also incorporate Animate Weapon. I don't recommend going into Animate Weapon until you have these 2 notables because it's hard to sustain and it's kind of annoying. They don't do as much damage because there aren't as many of them on the screen at one time as there could be if you had these. So level 80, I incorporated animate weapon. Nothing too special here, you know, energy shield. At first I actually came down and picked up Faith of Steel and Devotion, but I think it would be better if these 6 or 7, actually 6, were allocated to Arcane Focus and some life here. It's better overall. Just picked up life and mana, and the reason I have Elemental Dominion is because of the intelligence and the cast speed. The cast speed is pretty nice when doing Flesh Offering and Animate Weapon and whatnot. And then I came up through life and got Death Attunement, which is necessary for this build to have an additional Spectre. That's how you get 5. Then I picked up this Puppet Master, Herd of the Flock, and Grave Pact. These are pretty good. The reason I picked up, for your minions, the reason I picked up Sovereignty is because I needed a little bit more leeway when casting Animate Weapon. This right now costs 124, so, and my mana regeneration isn't that high. It's hard to get it high if you don't have something like Eldritch Battery. So I can only do about like 3 or 4 back-to-back Animate Weapon summons before I run out. So when I play, I kind of think about how to pick up weapons so I don't run out of mana. Like I'll summon a weapon, pick up like a transmute, summon a weapon, things like that. So you can check out some gameplay on that. I came across here and picked up Melding. The other option is you can come around through here, but I found it a little bit more inefficient, especially if you wanted to pick up Melding, because Foresight is pretty good. So if you were to pick up Foresight and then come through here, you're kind of wasting a lot of passive. So I found like this to be the most efficient. From level 88 onward, you have a lot of options. You have more life, you have more energy shield, more energy shield, more energy shield. It's all very direct. You have Inner Force, you have Aura of Effect. Then if you want another 1, 2, 3, 4 skill points, that would put you at 92, 88, 92. For Grave Intentions, it would give you another zombie, making you putting you at 10 zombies. One weakness of this build is it actually doesn't have any physical mitigation. The only mitigation that it has is from the bubbles and from player skill in avoiding damage. And actually some of the mitigation that I use is just having a high ES shield, because what happens is you can see immediately when you start taking damage, it acts as like a warning mechanism because your shield depletes, and you can react immediately when damage gets to your life pool. Now this is a lot of life. I only had one close call to ripping on this build. It was to it was like Bone Roas, Cult Bone Roas with powerful crits. It left me with like 300 life, and that was really the only part that was where my life dipped that low. Most other times this is like insane survivability right here, especially when you cast Vault Discipline in dangerous situation and boss fights. You're like, you almost can't die. The only thing that will kill you is an insane one shot, which is how I died from a DC Vault Smash. But yeah,
how may I be of
that is the build.
Exile?
If you guys have any questions, you can post them in the video in the comments, and I'll get back to them. You can check out the description for some links to gameplay and for my written guide, and I'll probably put some notes in the video that you can click on to see some gameplay footage. Alright, cool. Thanks for watching, guys.